In April of 1992, this community lost one of its most cherished members, James L. Paddock, who died suddenly at the age of 49. Jim had served as professor of international business and as academic dean during my tenure as dean. In that capacity, he was a good friend and wise counselor. A proud son of the state of Kentucky, one of my many fond memories of Jim was of sitting in his house on Kentucky Derby Day, watching the horses run on television and sipping mint juleps that Jim made by himself according to an ancient, and he told me, very secret family recipe. Jim Paddock was a mainstay of this institution. As the school's first full-time business professor, Jim planted the seeds that a few years later would become our MIB program. Several years later, his loss is still felt deeply. Above all else, Jim Paddock was a superb teacher who worked constantly to strengthen and improve teaching at the Fletcher School. After consultation with Jim's wife, the faculty established an annual teaching award in his memory. The Paddock Award goes to the Fletcher professor who best exemplifies excellence in teaching. The school is able to make this award thanks to the generosity of Jim's many friends, colleagues, and students. The process and selection of the award recipient has been left entirely in the hands of Fletcher students, which the Student Council has managed. I now call on Ammar Karimjee, a member of the Student Council, to come forward and to announce the winner of the 26th Annual James L. Paddock Teaching Award.
Thank you so much, Professor Salocuse. Good afternoon, everyone, and congratulations to all of my classmates on our graduation. I feel truly honored to have the opportunity to be up here today and present the Paddock Award to an individual who was a driving force behind my incredible 2 years here at Fletcher. Professor Patrick Schena, congratulations. I first heard about Professor Schena during my first semester at Fletcher, when a number of my close friends were taking his global investment management class, and they could not stop talking about how much they loved the class and the professor. I personally didn't have a chance to meet him until I became a part of the management of the Fletcher Social Investment Group. Anytime we had a problem, our default became, let's just go ask Professor Schena for help. It was then that I knew that Professor Schena was truly special. He is one of the most generous people with his time that I have ever met. He supports students on any endeavor they might be on, Fletcher-related or not. He teaches 2 classes, advises numerous clubs, coaches the CFA and Mint competitions, and is an advisor to dozens of students on their capstones, their job search, or any general guidance they might need. He assumes the absolute best in everyone. And though he teaches courses in finance, he's acutely aware that most of his students will probably not go on to pursue a finance-related career. So in class, he tailors his lessons to be understandable for people coming from any background. And regardless of what you will do long-term, he will make an effort to get to know you, find a shared interest, and talk to you about it for hours. It should be no surprise then that his office hours are always full, and even when you arrive for your designated slot, there's always a wait. Professor Schena prioritizes students above everything else. If you're struggling with material before an exam, he'll give you his phone number and talk to you late at night or early in the morning. If you need extra practice before a competition, he'll stay with you until 1 a.m. He makes sure that you know you are always worth his time. If you need someone to vent to because you're struggling or frustrated about your job search, a quick conversation with Professor Schena will always do the trick. And if you just want to chat about what impact investing even means, or why returns on university endowments are falling, he'll welcome you into his office with open arms. And with Professor Schena, these conversations are never a one-way interaction. He will treat you as a true colleague the entire time, valuing your thoughts, even if you have no formal background on the subject. Professor Schena embraces the true meaning of what a professor is. Fletcher is lucky to have not only a talented expert, but a great human being who is happiest when he sees that his students are succeeding. It is for all of these reasons, and so many more, that I could not be happier to present the 2017 Paddock Award to Professor Patrick Schena. Congratulations.
Ammar, thank you. I'm still struggling with how to grapple with this. Welcome to everyone. Thank you, everyone, students, certainly faculty, parents, invited guests of students. I warmly accept the Paddock Award. Sincere appreciation, it's certainly deepest respect. I accept it not only for myself, but I accept it on behalf of these great people and this great faculty. I've had the pleasure now, 15 years, I pinch myself, to believe that I'm a member of this community in some fashion, and they're truly outstanding. And you express your appreciation, and I will as well, for all that they do. I've really struggled since getting that email a couple of weeks ago about this award with how to sort of comprehend it myself. That's still true, but I have to confess that reality set in when everyone started to remind me that I had to speak for 10 minutes. And I realized that 10 minutes is an extraordinarily long time, though many of you guys know that I usually don't have a problem speaking for 10 minutes. And actually, usually quite a bit longer than 10 minutes. 1:45 usually ends up at 1:55. In any case, advice began to trickle in about how I should do this, and it was always gracious, and it was always very, very well-intentioned. So I was told I had to be funny. So I ask you, do I look like, I would be able to co-host SNL even once, let alone 5 times? I don't think so. I was told I had to be prepared, so everybody that knows me knows I showed up with a deck. But it is not posted on Trunk in case you're wondering and you're going to go look for it. Then I was told that I should be brief. Actually, Anne-Marie told me that it was okay if I were brief. And until I said to her, Anne-Marie, here's what I'm going to do. And by the way, if Anne-Marie says it's okay, you know it's okay, right? So I said to her, okay, I have a plan then. I will yield to you any time that I have left over, and you can get up and obviously address everyone. And then she immediately retracted the fact that I should be brief, and so, but I will be brief. Professor Salacuse outlined all of the various degrees, extraordinary. And it really, for me, is especially gratifying in ways but really remarkable to think that I'm in a room this size. And I share something specific with everybody in the room, most everyone in the room, and certainly the students, in ways that extend well beyond the Fletcher School. So first of all, I want to personally congratulate all of the MA candidates, all of the associated various degrees, MA degrees. And in particular, I want to call out, where are the MALD students? You guys all scattered around, are you in one place? Congratulations, actually, to all MALD students. So I received my MALD in 1981, I think. The registrar actually asks me when I received my degree. I'm not even really sure. But I have to tell you, I still struggle after, I don't know how long it's been, to explain what the LD stands for, okay? But I will tell you, okay? I never, ever back down with great pride to explain it. And I hope you never are concerned about that. We're the PhD candidates. You guys all scattered around? Are you in something? All right. Oh, there we are. All right. So, congratulations to you guys. Warm and heartfelt congratulations to you all. So, I eventually, after 10 years, learning and doing finance, I would call it an extended internship, I guess. I don't know. And by the way, I don't recommend anybody doing this, okay, certainly. But I returned to Fletcher after 10 years because I was committed to go do a PhD. And that's really challenging. When you have a family, a little girl, it becomes a bit of a challenge. And by then, okay, by the early 90s, things at Fletcher had begun to change. And finance, as Professor Salcuse mentioned, had found its way to Fletcher's door, and specifically in the name of Professor James Paddock. So I arrived one day trying to figure out how I was going to get back into this PhD program, and they directed me to Professor James Paddock. And in I went, asking, actually it was more like begging for some help. And the legend is all that you know it to be, and everything you've heard. So this was a person that immediately welcomed me, very gracious. He encouraged me, and actually, he got me off the ground. I may have been his last project, because he passed away very tragically within a period of time after I had begun to work with him. At that point, actually, I became Professor Jacques' project. Okay, so I'm sure that the MIB crowd is saying, okay, he's forgotten about us. The MIB, so you guys are out there. They're a small but vocal community, as you can see, right? Congratulations to you guys. So I was about to say that, like so many of you, I became Professor Jacques' project. And through his great mentorship, through his friendship, and also with the help and support of Professor Trackman, I stand before you, Fletcher PhD. Though I am still convinced that Professor Trackman is still trying to figure out how he ended up on my PhD committee, actually. So this is my journey, or has been my journey. So the question is, why do we do this? Why do I do this? Why specifically do we teach? And I will say that, here's a very small cliche alert. You've heard this expression, if you love what you do, then you'll never work a day in your life. And it's actually great advice. It's really hard to do. But I will tell you, teaching at the Fletcher School, for me, is not a job. It's not my job. It is truly the great privilege of my life. And I mean that. I truly mean that. Where else do you get to work with brilliant people that have infectious curiosity, who are passionate, deeply committed, and oh yeah, by the way, they're great fun to be around too, right? And I can tell you, each one of them pushes us, challenges us, and actually motivates us in great ways. And to me, that is the reward, truly the reward, of being able to come here and work with them. So I want to speak a bit to parents, spouses, partners. So why do you suppose, or what do you suppose, that these students do when they show up here every day, all day long at Fletcher? So do you imagine they studied? If you imagine they studied, then you might be wrong. Well, you might be in part, yeah, they gathered, they drink a lot of coffee, among other things. Of course they study. But you know as well that they sacrifice. And they sacrifice to do some absolutely extraordinary things. Some of this you would have heard about briefly. You know they run a social investment program, FSIG? Another small and vocal community. And they placed an investment team that ranked among the top globally in a recent competition. And that included some of the top business schools in this country. And they were very proud, and we should be very proud of what they've done. We've had finalists in global investment competitions. We've got a group that runs a political risk program that this past year included 2 full-day professional symposia. And oh, by the way, and I still don't know how they did this, they managed to bring the former Prime Minister of Australia here to be their keynote speaker, and I was convinced that was not going to happen. I've got 2 very passionate students that helped Starbucks build out their sustainable finance program, if you can believe that. And I could go on, and I'm sure everyone in this room could go on and on and on. FinTech, Romanian bacon, banks and Mexican drug cartels, African wealth funds, Mickey Mouse in China, impact, lots and lots and lots of impact, and not least, undersea cables. But I'm not really supposed to talk a lot about that one because of the nature of the project. These are real projects, they're real world projects, they're the kinds of things that make a difference. To the people that do them have an insatiable thirst to learn. They have a remarkable breadth of interests and skills, and they have a passion to make a difference. I'm sure, like me, many of you came to Fletcher in search of answers. I was disappointed. I actually discovered that there was something far more valuable than the answers, and it was knowing how and where to look for these answers. And for this, I am a true son of the Fletcher School, and I'm eternally grateful. We, all of us now, are part of a common legacy, a common family. So we now are joined together in this quest to ask, to search, to discover, and then to go and create and to build. Please never succumb to mediocrity. Never cower to anyone just because they say it is not thinkable, it's not possible, and it's not doable. We don't have the time and we don't have the luxury for you, any of you, to do that. So I'm going to come back, I'd like to come back and speak again, and I'm closing, to speak again directly to parents and grandparents, spouses, partners, and also children. I don't know if Jonathan brought his beautiful kids with him. Thank you for sharing your family with us. These are extraordinary people. They've done amazing things. And I will promise you, they will do far greater things still. I will leave you with some very humble advice from me. Nurture them, guide them, encourage them, but above all, love them always. I will tell you, they love you back. I will thank you one last time. I will wish you, again, great successes. Do not be strangers, but that's usually the last thing I have to tell anyone. And yes, for the record, I do have office hours tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. Thank you.